league?
Well, defensive backs, they try and get under the skin of the wide receivers, but to go behind them and headlock them like that.
There are personal fouls by both teams resulting in disqualification. Personal foul number 18 of Cincinnati. Personal foul number 20 of Jacksonville. Both players are disqualified.
At this point, if you're a football fan, you know who Jalen Ramsey is. And you either absolutely love him or you cannot stand the sight of him. But since being taken with the number 5 overall pick in the 2016 NFL Draft, Jalen Ramsey proved to be the premier shutdown corner in the entire NFL. He followed up an impressive rookie campaign in the 2016 to 2017 season with an even more dominant second season last year, earning his first Pro Bowl selection. Constantly lined up against the league's best and fastest receivers, he blankets them like white on top of a mountain. Wideouts that do find enough separation to haul in a catch see that gap close very quickly, as Jalen Ramsey recovers with the force and speed of a train that lifts weights, and can tackle. I can literally make an entire video on all of Jalen Ramsey's greatest trash-talking moments, but there's one moment where he trash-talked an absolutely elite wide receiver so ruthlessly that it effectively ended that wide receiver's days of being elite. So what's going on, guys? Microphone back again with another NFL video. Guys, this Trash Talk series is a brand new series, so if you enjoy it, let me know in the comment section down below. Leave a like and make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications because this is a brand new channel and we are on the quest to get 100,000 subscribers. On top of that, if you want additional content, make sure you're following me on Instagram at Mikerophone. And if you have additional trash talking moments that you would like me to cover, let me know in the comment section down below. So let's establish the context of the situation in the 2017 NFL season, because this was proving to be an exciting NFL season for the Jacksonville Jaguars. After an offseason that featured the additions of Calais Campbell, AJ Boye, and Barry Church, and a mid-season trade for Marcel Darius, it was safe to say that the Jacksonville Jaguars were absolutely terrifying. The Jaguars boasted a ferocious pass rush that featured Marcel Darius, Calais Campbell. Earlier on, there were concerns because Dante Fowler, the number 3 overall pick in the 2017 NFL Draft, would be out for the season with a torn ACL. But luckily for the Jacksonville Jaguars, this opened up a slot for an extremely promising player, Yannick Ngakoue, which would end up adding 8 sacks in just his rookie season. When it wasn't the Jaguars' ferocious pass rush that was terrorizing opposing quarterbacks, it would be 2 cornerbacks who would end up becoming all pros that season that were ready to capitalize off of the quarterback's mistakes in the newly acquired AJ Boye and the second-year Jalen Ramsey. The Jacksonville Jaguars would start the regular season at 3 wins and 3 losses before absolutely shutting out the Indianapolis Colts in Week 7. It was at this point that I truly believed that the Jacksonville Jaguars hit their stride, because the very next week the NFL world got a phenomenal matchup to watch. Jalen Ramsey, the second-year cornerback who was still out to prove himself, would be facing against AJ Green, a player who had yet to miss the Pro Bowl in his entire career. Jalen Ramsey still had yet to make a single Pro Bowl, but he was coming off of a game where his defense absolutely decimated the Colts, notching 10 sacks and only allowing for 232 yards for the entire game. You knew that Jalen Ramsey was feeling himself, and unfortunately for AJ Green, things weren't going as well for him. Despite making it to the Pro Bowl the year prior and averaging 964 yards in just 10 games, AJ's Bengals only had 3 wins to 4 losses, and the only teams that they were able to defeat were the lowly Buffalo Bills, Indianapolis Colts, and Cleveland Browns. But to make matters worse, AJ Green was in the midst of a dry streak. In the 2 games leading up to their matchup, AJ Green would be targeted 14 times, and out of those targets, he would only grab 6 of them for a combined 68 yards. That's not so good, especially if you're AJ Green. So we can agree that Green was in the midst of a minor dry streak, but we could tell that this was just a dry streak because the week before this slump, AJ Green went off for 7 receptions and 189 receiving yards and a touchdown against the Buffalo Bills. At this point of his career, AJ Green was already making a case for one of the greatest wide receivers in NFL history, and he wasn't about to let a trash-talking sophomore cornerback stop him from getting his. The game would start in the Jacksonville Jaguars' favor. The Jaguars were controlling the clock and playing great defense, but since they had a below-average quarterback under center named Blake Bortles, they were only able to notch 3 points in the first quarter. The Cincinnati Bengals, however, were able to drive down to midfield until an important 2nd and 10 happened at the end of the first quarter. It was at this moment that we would get our very first interaction between AJ Green and Jalen Ramsey, because Andy Dalton, in all of his glory, would drop back to find a wide open AJ Green who completely burned Jalen Ramsey. But Andy Dalton would wind up completely missing a pass that would have been for sure a touchdown to AJ Green and would throw this ball out of bounds. This is where Jalen Ramsey would begin getting into AJ's head, and I can't fault AJ for being frustrated. Had Andy Dalton put this ball right on the money, it would have been a touchdown. But since his quarterback missed him, he is now subject to this trash talk from a second-year cornerback who thinks he's all that. And this is despite completely carving him up with this route. You know what this is like? Have you ever played NBA 2K and you've been up by 20 and then your buddy gets a sick alley-oop or completely breaks your ankles as you're defending him and begins to talk trash? That was a lot like that. On that same drive on 3rd and 9, Andy Dalton would succeed in connecting with AJ Green on a 6-yard reception before he would be forced out by Jalen Ramsey, who would immediately begin trash-talking Green once again after an extremely physical tackle. Now, you have to bear in mind that cornerbacks aren't expected to tackle the way Jalen Ramsey can tackle. So when you have a corner that can lay a hit like that on a wide receiver who is already extremely physical to begin with, that will result in even further frustration. Now look at this play again. Apparently, AJ Green thought that Jalen Ramsey was getting away with hands to the face calls. As he would say later on, the ref came to me on the sideline and said next time he puts his hands to your face, we're going to call it. I let it slide, a couple of plays, it's football. But Ramsey would elaborate on his trash talk too, stating that I told him almost every play that he was weak and that he was soft. Straight facts. He just couldn't handle the truth. Things got extremely heated near the end of the first half because this would end up happening. As AJ Green touched Jalen Ramsey, Ramsey would respond by shoving Green to the ground. Green would then respond with this insane chokeslam on Jalen Ramsey, then would deliver multiple punches before they would get separated by multiple referees, and it appears to be 2 entire football teams. AJ Green would say after the incident that, I want him, give me one more shot, but both players would end up getting disqualified and the Jaguars would go on to win. The aftermath of this game was chilling. NFL players immediately would tweet about the incident, with players like Antonio Brown tweeting that this was completely out of AJ Green's character. Jeremy Rauch, who is a reporter for the Cincinnati Bengals, tweeted out that in his entire career covering the Cincinnati Bengals, he has never seen AJ Green more angry. Green would comment that things got a little rough up there, so I don't mind that. When you start trying to take cheap shots when I'm not looking and stuff like that, then that's when I've got to defend myself. And I'm not going to back down from anybody. I have a son, and I'm not going to teach him to back down from anybody like that. It's a respect thing. I respect all of my opponents, but when it gets to a level when I'm not looking and put myself in danger, I'm going to have to defend myself. Now, Jalen Ramsey's response was insane, as he would continue calling AJ Green soft and weak before telling him how easy it was to defend him. Ramsey would then respond to the accusations of a cheap shot, saying that he just fell because he's weak. It wasn't a late push. The whistle hadn't blown yet. I wasn't going to get flagged for that push. No flags came out until he grabbed me. I pushed him every single play. Ramsey would then conclude the interview with a bone-chilling sentence that would establish the type of player that he is. I lock receivers down physically and then mentally. I get in their mind and I get under their skin. I talk my talk, whatever I'm going to say. AJ Green wouldn't be the same after that game, as he would only have one 100-yard receiving game the entire rest of the season. His production would begin to take a tumble in the 2018 NFL season, as in 9 games he would only average 694 yards through the air. This would effectively end his Pro Bowl streak that dated all the way back to his rookie season in 2011. This was also significantly worse than his 2016 season, where he played 10 games. Now, look, is it fair to assume that this game caused the demise of AJ Green? No, I'm sure there are a ton of external and additional factors, such as having a stagnant ownership, a head coach that consistently produced the same result, and an average quarterback. AJ Green would get injured and would miss the 2019 NFL season. Although it's too soon to write off Green, it's widely assumed that his best years are behind him. Meanwhile, Jalen Ramsey's Jaguars would go on to make it to the AFC Championship game, where they would lose to Tom Brady and the New England Patriots. Ramsey would remain in Jacksonville for one more year before demanding a trade in the 2019 season. He currently plays for the Los Angeles Rams, who are coming off of an underperforming season. And AJ Green and Jalen Ramsey aren't scheduled to play one another unless one of them gets traded. Say what you want about Jalen Ramsey's antics, but he backed up his smack talk to AJ Green, and as a result of their heated matchup, a new Jalen Ramsey was born. Because on November 5th, 2017, Jalen Ramsey officially became Jalen Ramsey.